Afternoon everybody, and welcome back to Birmingham Wildlife Conservation Park for the latest in our Wednesday Facebook Live videos. We're carrying on our world tour today, and we have made our way up to Vietnam today to meet for a pair of Pygmy slow loris. So we've got one up top here. I do have one right next to me, but I don't know how. He's sat in the dark at the moment, so I don't know if you can see anything there. And there's a ball of fluff, which is a Pygmy slow loris. Unfortunately, it is just a ball of fluff. So, the one up the top there, who seems to have a bit of a sneezy fit at the moment. Just sat at the top there. So yeah, as ever, please feel free to send in any questions or comments or anything like that you might have, and I'll do my best to answer them for you. I'll try and keep this as steady as I can while it's zoomed in. We have just put a little bit of food in, so hopefully they might come down for a bit of food, but we will see. But yeah, otherwise we will crack on. Here we come. Might have a bit of movement here. So yeah, like I say we're in Vietnam for the Pygmy slow loris. Vietnam is one of the countries that you will find Pygmy slow loris in the wild. They are also found throughout Cambodia and Laos. There's a small population still believed to be in China. So yeah, they're not just stuck in Vietnam. They do have a good little range over in Southeast Asia. Hi Tim, hope you're okay today. Good to see you watching. So Pygmy slow loris are a species of primate, a nocturnal species of primate. Loris are kind of primitive primate, much like lemurs are, lemurs and bush babies and things like that. And yeah, that means they're basically just they kind of branched off the evolutionary tree quite early. So yeah, they do still show some primitive primate features, such as a tooth comb, which they can use for grooming, and quite good nocturnal vision as well. That is quite a primitive feature in primates as well. Yeah, so these guys are nocturnal. Yeah, pretty much just come out exclusively at night in the dark, and then spend the day sleeping. So the lighting in here is reversed, so during our daytime it's their nighttime and vice versa. So at night time the lights come on in here and that's their daytime. So yeah, just gives everyone the best chance possible to see our loris up and about. Hi Sue, hope you're okay today. Yes, so our Pygmy slow loris do live with our brush-tailed bettong, who we saw in a video a couple of months ago, who is down on the floor somewhere, but I'm not sure whereabouts he is at the moment. I've heard him moving around, but haven't spotted him as yet. He's probably a bit spooked by my presence. So yeah, they're not found in exactly the same part of the world, bettong and loris, but they seem to get on okay here. Obviously the loris being mainly arboreal, living up in the trees, they and the bettong being a pretty much exclusively ground dwelling species, they just stay out of each other's way. Hi Matt, hope you're okay. So yeah, Pygmy slow loris are one of a number of different loris species and slow loris species. Up until recently, all the slow loris were found in the same genus, but actually last year Pygmy slow loris have actually been put into their own genus now. So yeah, they are a bit more distinct than to the other loris than was previously thought. So these guys are just feeding on a little bit of fruit. with a bit of gum in there as well. So gum is what we call, it's a substitute for tree sap, which is something that they do consume a lot of in the wild, along with fruits. They will also eat small animals, invertebrates, eggs, flowers, nectar. They've got quite a broad range really, but today they've just got a little bit of banana, some blueberries in there, a bit of pear, and the gums there as well for them. So Pygmy slow loris are classed as endangered on the IUCN Red List. They do face a number of threats, habitat loss being the main one. The Vietnamese population have kind of really struggled from kind of the Vietnam War onwards really. Obviously a lot of land and things like that was cleared from Vietnam during the war, which decimated the habitat and then the population of Pygmy slow loris. There is also habitat loss throughout the rest of their range. They are also commonly taken as a pet species, which is really affecting the species. You'll see them sold at kind of local markets over in Southeast Asia for relatively very little money. And these individuals have all been taken from the wild. Over the last few years, the markets have kind of seen less and less Pygmy slow loris, which you might think is a good sign. But the lack of loris kind of found in these street markets now is basically because they're harder and harder to find out in the wild. So the people that are collecting these loris from the wild find it harder and harder to find any individuals. So yeah, they do really struggle due to the illegal pet trade. They are also hunted for traditional medicines and things like that. So yeah, yeah, they do face a number of threats out in the wild, which is why they're classed as endangered. But there is a good breeding program. We've had quite a bit of success with our two, George and Doris. I believe we're looking at George now. Doris, I think, is the one that's asleep here, but I'll be honest, I'm not really sure. I think this is George, but I'm not sure. So yeah, they've had a good few offspring between them who've all moved to other collections now throughout Europe. So these guys have definitely done their part for the programme. George is getting on a bit now, he's 14 years old. Doris is actually turning 12 on Friday. So yes, they're both becoming a bit more of an elderly couple now. So the big eyes help them to see in the dark with their nocturnal lifestyle. So the big eyes allow as much light in as possible in the dark. Not holding on with its tail, as you can probably see from this shot. Loris have actually got a very small tail. It's pretty much non-existent. But so yeah, they're just holding on with their back legs. So yeah, he is now hanging upside down from his back feet, which is quite an interesting one. But there you go. So yes, that's one of the things that's quite interesting about this species of loris. They are venomous. So it's not really a true venom. They don't secrete venom from their fangs or anything like that. Basically, they've got a couple of glands pretty much in their armpits, which, when they feel threatened, they will lick these glands, and once the kind of secretion from these glands is mixed with their saliva, it becomes toxic and becomes a kind of venom, which when they bite prey or kind of potential predators or something like that, it can have the effect of immobilizing that. at prey or predator. We don't really have to worry too much about them. Like I say, with the venom, they only become venomous, for want of a better way of putting it, when they feel threatened, and that's when they mix the secretions from their glands with their saliva. So on a day-to-day basis, we don't have to be too careful. It's just whenever we have to catch them up for health checks or for movement or things like that, just make sure we've got a big thick pair of gloves on, because if they do bite, then we have a bit more of an issue. In general, most people, if you are bitten by a loris, there isn't too much of a worry. You don't see too many cases of their venom actually having any kind of major effect on people. But it is actually thought some of the compounds and things like that within that venom are similar to ones you'll find in cats. So people who have got cat allergies may be more affected, and that can cause kind of anaphylaxis if you do get bitten. So yeah, that's kind of some early thoughts and early research going on. So yeah, quite interesting, venomous primate. I always mean to look. I'm not sure if the other loris species also have this feature. But yeah, Pygmy slow loris definitely do. No, you've just gone and hidden in the most awkward place possible because you've gone behind that chunk of ceiling, so we can't actually see you at the moment, which isn't very helpful. So we'll have a look at this ball of fluff instead. I don't know if you can make it out there, but this is our other loris who's having a nice little doze at the moment. Don't know if you can make them out there. Kind of, there's the back there, and then the head's facing away from us, so can't really see too much. Hopefully George will pop out and make another appearance, but we will see. So as with quite a lot of Southeast Asian animals, these guys weren't really officially first described or discovered till fairly recently. I think it was 1907 that these guys were first officially described. So yeah, when you think in the grand scheme of things, obviously they've been around for many years, but the fact we've only kind of really known of their existence for the last 120 years or so is quite an interesting one. I always find that interesting with things like the Komodo dragon as well. You know, they weren't really fully discovered until a similar time, about 1910, 1912. So yeah. Right then guys, I think we will wrap up in a moment, so please feel free to send in any last minute comments or questions you might have. We'll be carrying on the world tour next week. What have we got next week? I think we'll be staying in the similar region. I think we might even be staying in Vietnam. Definitely somewhere around there to meet, can't remember the exact one, pretty sure it was a reptile. Might be the rhino rat snakes next week. I think it's the rhino rat snakes, but I'm not sure. But as ever, I will advertise on Tuesday, and we will see who we can spot next week. Yeah, we are starting to rattle through the world tour, so through to the middle of March. That's what we've probably done, about 12 or so species for the world tour so far. So got plenty to go yet. But yeah, we will carry that on next week. Yeah, unfortunately George has disappeared. I think he's gone out the way there, hiding away. And yes, Doris is fast asleep. But yeah, remember to wish Doris a happy birthday for Friday, as she turns 12. But yeah, I think we will wrap the video up there. So thank you for tuning in as ever, guys. We'll be back same time, same place next week for the next stop on our world tour. Thanks guys, see you later.